So someone asked, this is a while ago, what are the reasons that you warn about branch offices? Okay. So why the question is, why are branch offices dangerous for people's careers? And this is a good question. And I'm going to answer it because it's okay. So here's why branch offices are dangerous. So branch offices are dangerous for a lot of reasons. They're not all dangerous. Like I want to be clear, like you're in a branch office for Quinn Emanuel in New York or Latham and Watkins in New York or Gibson Dunn, which is in Washington, D.C. If you're in one of these branch offices, that's freaking awesome. Those are great firms and they're great branch offices. Gibson Dunn in Washington, D.C. is one of their top. It's great. But anyway, so a lot of branch offices are very good. But here's typically what happens in branch offices. Decisions are made, decisions about advancement are made in the main office, right? So made in the main office. So that means it's very difficult to make a partner, right? Sometimes it's less because they want to show that they're promoting people in branch offices, but frequently it's difficult to make partner or advance. Often work comes from the main office. So work comes from the main office. So what a lot of times law firms will do is they will basically want to open a branch office. And so think about this. So the law firm wants to open a branch office. Many times it may send one person or a couple people from the main office, but then it goes and needs to get local attorneys to join the branch office. So local attorneys, that means attorneys need to be recruited. So when they recruit, local attorneys need to be recruited. And those local attorneys, typically, not always, but they're going to be people that are unhappy in existing firm, happy from a different culture of the firm, so different culture, and often may not have business, even though they say they do. So what does that mean? So unhappy means that if someone's unhappy in one firm and they're recruited to go to another firm, the odds are that they may be unhappy in the new firm. So these partners that go to the branch offices that are recruited are often haven't been happy in the firm that they're recruited from. So that's one thing. They may come into the new firm and also be unhappy. They may be coming from a different culture. So certain firms are very siloed where partners will all protect their business. Other firms are not siloed, meaning that everyone cooperates, a different culture. A lot of times when people are recruited from different firms, they may not have business. So what does that mean? That means that a lot of times when partners are moving firms laterally, they will say, "Hey, I've got all this business and I can bring this much over and stuff." And then what happens a good portion of the time, not always, but a large portion of the time, is that turns out to be BS. So that turns out to be BS, meaning the business projections turns out to be BS. Projections turns out to be BS, maybe 50% less of the time. So what does that mean? So that means that these partners join the firm and these partners and are basically in trouble the second they join, right? So then there's often a lot of turnover. So there's a lot of turnover and turnover. And then often the partners that were unhappy at new firms, they will move again because they're unhappy, right? So they'll move again because unhappy. So then the second they get there, there's all this issues with being unhappy. Then the cultures won't be compatible. So they will move from one firm with one culture and they'll move to another with a different culture. So that's a big issue, not compatible. So different people will be that. The partners will feel like second fiddle to the people in the main office. Partners, second fiddle, and they won't have as much. They won't have as they will feel like less than, right? They'll feel less than. Will feel like they will. Sorry, they'll face new conflicts with bringing in business, meaning the law firm may have conflicts about a client. The law firm may not approve a client that might have been approved at another firm. All these things are happening. And there's more. I could keep going, but if you recruit a bunch of people or the bunch of people in a branch office feel like partners feel like they don't have power, that a lot of stuff is coming from the decisions are coming from the main office, that the culture is different, that the partners feel less than the partners from the main office, and they need to get their approval, that they're not able to bring the type of work they bring in, and that they may not have their business may not transfer when they're hired, or they may have been not telling the truth about their business. That creates problems too. So all of this stuff ends up creating a situation where there's just a lot of freaking turmoil. Not only that, but then these same partners will be the ones that were recruited from another firm will be vulnerable to leaving for a new firm, right? So they'll be vulnerable to being recruited again. Uh, So then you wind up with a situation where a lot of the partners are unhappy, where people are coming, they haven't started the main office, they don't understand the culture, where they're leaving, where many times because they don't bring enough work over, because they don't have enough work, they have the you need to get it from need to get the work from the main office, which is a non-starter because the partners in the main office they'll have relationships. The associates will have relationships with those partners. With those relationships, it's easier to make partner. With those relationships, it's easier to get work. When you have people that may not have the work, it's much more difficult. All this stuff is really needs to be thought about. Now, again, I'm not saying that every branch office is bad because there are some, frankly, kick-ass firms that have great branch offices. I'm talking about your Lathams, your Scaddons, your Gibsons, your Quinns, your a lot of firms have just these freaking awesome branch offices. Sidley and Austin. There's a lot of firms out there that are freaking great and have good branch offices. Your Morrison and Foresters, what an awesome firm. So there's a lot of firms that have great branch offices, but this is the big problem with branch offices, especially with new firms. Think about it. Management is elsewhere, like management elsewhere, just so many things. So branch offices are freaking, yeah, they are dangerous. So there's something for some firms you need to be very careful.